How is everyone doing? We have a glorious, glorious day here in early September, and thought it's time to take you guys around, have a look at my chilies, see how they're doing. But before that, just have a look around. Everything seems like such a rush these days that I don't actually come out here and spend any time enjoying the space that we have. And today is such a beautiful day. It's just glorious to be out here. The chickens are loving their new space. This here is fenced off now. We did this a couple of weeks now ago, and basically put fencing around our wildflower patch. So this whole area here we just left to grow, never mowed it. The chickens are doing a good job of actually mowing it, and they're loving this space. It's incredible. We've got 4 chickens in here, and this grass, well, you can see it's all come way down. It was up probably about 3-4 feet, kind of like what you see over here, but they've got a little coop underneath the tree over here. Beautiful little space for them, and they seem really happy. Made a little makeshift shelter for the food, which seems to be working well, except when the wind blows off that stuff. And Barney loves I don't know, trying to play with them, I guess. Yeah, he's going to get pecked one day. Barney, leave the chicken. Chickens don't seem too fussed anymore. They used to fluff up their feathers and that, but not anymore. Hey, my boy, they don't want to play. Anyway, let's go and take a look inside the polytunnel and the greenhouses and see how the chilies are doing. The superhots seem to be coming through now, which is awesome, finally. But there's quite late in the season, so it's going to be touch and go whether we get any ripe ones. I'm pretty sure we will, but not going to be the harvest that I'm always hoping for. Next year is a whole different story though. But it's looking a lot better in here now. Things looking healthy, plants are growing. Obviously there's a few that are not doing so great, but for the most part they're doing well. Yeah, that one over there, we'll take a closer look in a second. It's going to be quite important, I think, next year. But over here we have our spaghetti chili. No record breakers here, but they're decent sizes. There's a nice one actually. That's about, what's that, about 20 centimeters? So what's that? I guess 9 inches, 10 inches. And we've got some ripe chilies coming through here. What are these actually? I did look it up yesterday. Got a tag down there we can scan. Kabai. Awesome. They are looking lovely. Look at those. And I think they pack a bit of heat as well. So it's beautiful that they are ripening up, but definitely a lot more progress than the last time I showed you guys. And over here we have some sweet peppers. Which one are these? I think these are Sweet King hybrids. Red King actually. But yeah, it's looking lovely. So some nice sized ones. Very nice. Lemon tree not looking too healthy, but it's still alive. I think I need to repot it, put some more new organic material in there, and we'll sort that right out. Over here, this bed is just going crazy, although we've got a bit of bindweed, I believe. This stuff is horrendous. It grows overnight. It takes over everything. It's ridiculous. In case you can hear the water, that's the hydroponics cycling back into the reservoir. Actually just refilled that yesterday. But yeah, these are all looking so healthy. So the hydro mix I'm using is working perfectly. What's interesting here, just flitting around a little bit, is it's early September and I've never seen so many bees at this time of year. Normally this is summertime that they'd be coming, but loads and loads of bees. We've had a lack of them over the last 2 months or so, but suddenly we're getting loads of them, so they must know something we don't. But it's nice to see them. But yeah, this bindweed, it's everywhere. If you guys have any tips in the comments about how to get rid of bindweed, other than just pulling it out and removing the roots, let me know. I have a feeling I'm going to have to do some major work when I've pulled all this stuff out at the end of the season. I'm going to have to get to the heart of the problem, the root of this, and pull it out completely. Yeah, it's not great. It's just everywhere. It really does take over. Look at this. But these plants are looking beautiful, and it's so nice to see the ripening happening. Gorgeous. Some more sweet peppers here, some nice sized ones. Which ones are these? I don't think they are Red Kings. California Wonder. These are stunningly tasty. Very, very tasty. If you are going to grow sweet peppers or sweet chilies, don't go with the boring old bell peppers that you get in the supermarkets. There are so many stunning varieties out there, including things like the California Wonder or the Red King or the Ramiro or Romano, however you call that. There's just so many beautiful sweet species out there, and they taste amazing. So many different flavors. The Red King, for example, has got a very much like a sweet apple taste to it. And once that ripens, yeah, it doesn't last too long on the bush because I'll be snacking on them. They are just lovely. Let's take a look at something a little special. My lemon Peri cross. This is my F4 lemon Peri. It's the cross that I've done between my CC Peri Peri and a ahi lemon drop. And just look at this. So much more consistency than earlier generations. Plenty of flowers. Interesting thing is the flowers are all facing down, whereas typically with frutescence they face up. So obviously the CC Peri Peri is a frutescence, but you can see the genetics all mixing in here. And we've got some chilies coming through. We've got a few over here. I'm hoping we're going to get that spade-like feature we had of the F3 and the F2. So we'll just have to wait and see. But there's a few of them coming through so late in the season. Even my CC Peri Peri, they're coming through so late. Flowering late and pollinating late, but at least they are coming through. So hopefully we have a fairly mild September and we'll get plenty pods. But typically by this time of year, I've already done 2 harvests of my CC Peri Peri. Yeah, this is looking gorgeous. Let's try and find an open flower. There we go. You can see what that looks like. But yeah, I'm really happy with this cross. It's so much healthier than it's been in previous years. We've got way more coming through actual pollination, because that's a challenge that I had in the early parts of the crossing, is that these don't actually pollinate too well and you don't get a very good harvest. But this year, finally at F4, it is coming through just nicely. And that's part of what makes this so challenging and also rewarding when you're crossing chilies, especially some of the more challenging crosses like a Bactum and a frutescence, which don't normally cross very well, is you're trying to get them to a state where they are actually viable plants. There's no point having a chili plant that, yeah, it looks lovely, plenty foliage, but no real amount of fruit or harvest. And that was always my worry, that I wasn't going to be able to get it to that point. But I have been selectively breeding this cross now for the last 4 or 5 years, and we finally got to a point where I'm pretty happy with this thing. It's growing really strong, it germinates incredibly quickly, and now we're finally getting lots of harvest. So next year is on to F5, and hopefully I'm going to get 2 crops out of next season. Well, not 2 crops, but 2 generations. So we'll get F5, F6, which means just 1 more year and then we'll be stable at F7. And at that point, I'm hoping we're going to have an amazing new chili plant. My gorgeous CC Fushimi is the plant I showed you a little bit earlier. This plant is just doing amazingly. Now, when I first started growing this out, I thought it was a disease. When you first see these sort of leaves, you're worried maybe there's something going wrong with the plant, but I managed to isolate it and successfully breed this on year. I think it's the 3rd year now I'm growing this on and isolating it, but again, consistent results. Got this asymmetry on the leaves, which is very unique and beautiful. Plus you've got all the variegation, the different colors on the leaves, and what's very cool as well is the pods have this striping. So it's really nice to be able to consistently get these results. I still have seeds for these in the store, so if you do want to grow them next year, it'll be obviously from last year's crop. But as you can see, this is from last year's crop, and it's just stunning. They do ripen to red, and what's really cool about these ongoing generations is I'm selectively breeding them to get better qualities. Like, obviously, I want to have more exaggerated leaves like these quality. I want it to germinate quicker, but also I want bigger pods, which I definitely am getting with this latest generation. It's just beautiful, and they taste really good. So really pleased with that. So why is that plant so special? Well, firstly, just take a look at it. It is nearly twice the height of the other plants around it. Yeah, these ones here are a bit bigger than some of these other plants as well, but still it is towering above them. It is the Kabai chili tree, and I was really hoping to get this result. It's growing lovely and tall. It's so healthy, and we have plenty of pods. You can't really see them from a distance, but if you come up close, you can see there are loads coming through here. They all point upwards, which is stunning as well. And yeah, we've got quite a few coming through there. Now, the other reason it's special, not just because it's large, but because of it being large, next year I'm going to be growing, instead of the Dorset Naga for my monster plant, I'm going to be growing this one, the Kabai chili tree, in a massive pot. I'm going to see how big we can get it. But I'm also going to be growing my Malawan Picant, or the pepper dew, which I showed you in a previous episode. I think those two plants are going to be amazing. I will have seeds for both in my store, so if you do want to grow along with me, we'll do a bit of a competition with the largest plant and also maybe the biggest harvest. I don't know. We'll see how we figure that out, but regardless, it's going to be a fun one to grow. So I do recommend getting some seeds for it. You don't have to get them from my store, of course, but I will have lovely healthy seeds for these in the store in the next month or two. Before we leave the polytunnel, I just wanted to point this plant out. It is beautiful as well. Look at these pods just hanging off. I love seeing that. But this here is a type of paprika. Now, interestingly, if we have a look here, I can never remember the name properly. Paprika balalaika, traditionally used in Hungarian foods like goulash. Now, paprika is traditionally used, not necessarily this pod itself, but this is going to be a good example of some pods that can be used to make paprika. Not a lot of people know it, but paprika is just red pepper that's ground down into powder. It's dried and ground down to powder. It could be a sweet paprika. You could get it from bell peppers, so ripe bell peppers. You get it from a bit spicier peppers. You could use pretty much anything cayenne powder if you wanted. I mean, that's going to be a bit too spicy for a typical paprika. But oftentimes it'll be smoked as well. Well, you'll see it there. It'll be smoked paprika. So I'm interested to see what sort of flavor this specific plant brings to the table, and if it makes it any better than your typical paprika powder that you can make from so many other different chilies. But I do like this plant. It just seems to be growing really nicely. I have one little issue with it though. On some of the leaves, it looks like I have some sort of worm or insect that's basically curling itself up into these leaves. So you can see it here, and they're getting eaten a little bit. Hasn't affected the rest of the plant. We still have some, beautiful flowers coming through. The pods are coming through nicely. We've got plenty of them. And you can see back there, I mean, there's loads and loads, and this is going to look stunning when it's all ripening up. But yeah, we do have some sort of insect making its home in here. I think all the insects have come out, but probably some sort of worm. But all in all, that's a beautiful, beautiful plant. So I've got this comment a bit in some of my recent garden update videos, and even the one on the Etsy eBay update that I did recently, where people are saying, oh, your pots are so small, or asking why the pots are small, mostly making statements, hey, your pots are small. I did that on purpose. I knew that the weather this year was going to be very similar to what happened last year. There's a bit of a weather phenomenon going on. Thankfully, that is over with now, and we'll get back to having some decent weather again. I have spoken about this in depth in a few other videos, so I'm not going to go into it again. But essentially, the weather this year I knew was going to be problematic for growing chilies and plenty of other crops as well. So I did go with some smaller pots in a couple of my greenhouses just to ensure that I did get some harvests, especially for seeds. But it actually has worked out really well. With a smaller pot, you're able to push growth a lot quicker. The pods are going to start coming through a lot quicker. The flowers are going to start coming through a lot quicker. When you're in bigger pots, especially in a shorter season climate like we have here in the UK, the bigger pots, they're going to try and grow massive plants, and basically until the roots have hit the sides of the pots and filled that pot, that plant is going to keep on trying to grow for as long as it can. Only once the roots have kind of filled the pot and the plant realizes, well, there's nowhere else to go, they start pushing out some flowers. And that's essentially what I'm trying to force here. With a smaller 3-litre pot, I'm getting far better growth, far quicker growth, and as you can see in here, plenty more chilies coming through a lot earlier. Even though it is September, the type of growth we're seeing even in here in this greenhouse is what I would expect to see end of July, not September. So it definitely has not been a fun year for growing. I'm sure you guys are seeing the effects of it as well, especially if you are in a shorter season climate like we are, where you get frosts fairly early, and yeah, that affects the plants. It's just lovely to see these ripening up, these beautiful colors coming through. It might be a bit late in the season, but at least I'm getting something, so I shouldn't complain too much. But just gorgeous, beautiful. So these here are my Calabrians that were sent in to me by a viewer, and they're gorgeous looking. I did say in a previous video they don't look true to form because they look like little marbles. Very pretty plant, but yeah, it didn't look like anything I'd seen online. But someone in the comments did say that the Calabrian does come in a round pod like that as well, so who knows, I will try it out and see what it tastes like. But I think I'll probably grow it again next year because it's a good looking plant, and I love the pods, the nice round pods, something satisfying about it. Over here is my lovely jalapeno, the CC jalapeno. Look how girthy that is. I'm sure we'll get bigger harvests on the second flush if the season lasts long enough. The first flush is always a little bit smaller than what you get in the second flush of pods. But yeah, we haven't had any jalapenos this year either to eat, which is crazy. By this time, I mean in July, I'm normally having barbecue, grilling up some jalapeno poppers, and yeah, these are the first that are nearly to a point that I'm going to actually use them. Crazy. This weather this year has been nuts. Oh, yeah, some more ripe chilies coming through. You'll notice most of the ripening chilies are Capsicum frutescens or Capsicum annuum. And there are, however, some ripening superhots too. Take a look at that. This is my CC Jigsaw Brain. Aren't these beauties? And believe me, they are so hot. They are ridiculously hot. I had one on a live stream. It was 2 live streams ago, and yeah, it burned. It burned bad. But yeah, you can see the flowers still coming through. You can see lots of little flowers starting out. Some that have just opened and they should pollinate fairly soon, but still, you expect plenty pods on the plant by this time of year. And I probably have about 15 on here? Ridiculous. Let's go take a look at Little Chump, the other small greenhouse. On our way over there, let's go take a look at the vegetable garden. We've been doing some work. You can see it looks a lot better than you would have seen in previous videos. My wife has, thank goodness, been helping me out, clearing out a lot of the weeds that were in here, because I'm actually going to be planting some things in here. We've got some cabbages that I'm going to plant in the next month or so. Also planted all these. These came from a little system I built in the, little greenhouse. I'll show you in a sec. But basically testing out a new system to start off these seeds, and they've done really well. Those there are Bavarian radishes. Can't wait to have those. Oktoberfest coming up soon. We'll have our own mini Oktoberfest here in the Chili Chump homestead. But I absolutely love radish, and we'll make some beautiful Bavarian radish salad. Might even make a video on that. And then over there we got some bok choy or pak choy. They're growing quite nicely. Should have some ripe ones, ready to pick at least in the next, I'd say about probably 2-3 weeks. And those 4, so I've got 4 little plants down there, and I stupidly forgot to label them. So we'll see what they turn out to be. Any guesses in the comments? Yeah, I can't remember, but we'll see what they turn out like. You can see a lot of harvesting going on over in the fields. That field was full of sunflowers actually, and they're busy turning the soil over ready for next year. They're harvesting potatoes on the other side of the hedge over there as well yesterday, and we're almost ready for quite a bit of harvesting ourselves, although I did actually do a little bit of harvesting. I'll show you a quick video from the other day. You can see the leaves that I've left over. These are my beetroot. I made some beautiful spicy beetroot pickle, which can't wait to try them. Got another week to wait before they'll be ready for me to try out. And here we have some broccoli. I didn't prepare the soil really well here. I think the soil might be a little bit too acidic, which is why the heads are not necessarily going to be as big as I'd like, but we should still be able to get some. Actually, that one doesn't look too bad. So yeah, maybe we'll do all right here. Just hope the butterflies stay away, or the moths at least. But tomatoes, I've been trimming these all back. These are almost ready for harvest. I need them to all ripen up. We've got quite a few lovely ones here. They're pretty laden, you can see there. So hopefully they'll ripen up nicely, because these are going into a chili ketchup that I'm going to be putting into the store in the next little while, well, as soon as they're ready. But we've got plenty coming through. I'd say these will be ready in maybe the next 2 weeks as well. So in the next 2 weeks I'm going to be a busy man, but these are just stunning. So before we have a look at the chilies in here, this is the system I built. Pretty basic really. It's using these very cheap little emitters, which emits like a very fine mist. I'm using one of my old pumps over here that I switched out, because obviously I have a new pump that I'm running my entire system with now. I have this on a timer. Well, here's the actual timer here. And I had the seedlings down there, so just kept them getting watered with a bit of nutrients. You can see the nutrients down there, so I just dropped a hose inside the bucket, put a bit of nitrogen nutrients in there, and these things just grew probably twice as quick as I would normally have them. And also you don't have to worry about remembering to water them. That's something, unfortunately, that happens fairly often with me, is I forget to come and water my young seedlings because I have other things going on, and then I have a whole tray of them just die off. Never happens with my chili plants, because that's a different story, but with the veggies and that, sometimes I do forget. But with this, having it on a timer with a cheap pump, just works fantastically. So I'll be definitely using that more next year, and the pump can handle quite a few trays. So as you can see here, there's more than just the one shelf. I have more of these trays as well, plenty more of the emitters. I'm gonna fix this up so that I can start quite a few different veggie seeds very easily, and it'll be pretty much no hassle, no maintenance, just let them get on with it. When they grow to the right size, then take them outside and plant them in the raised bed. So yeah, that'll be definitely a plan for next year, using these little trays down here as well. It's so nice to see more ripening chilies. Isn't that gorgeous? By the way, that flower's from the plant behind there. This here is a Mirasol, if I remember correctly. Quickly check that on my phone. By the way, if this is your first time to my channel, the app I'm using here is called Seedsio. It's one that I built. I use it to track my plants, and it's free to use. So if you guys want to use it, go and check it out. Seedsio.com, SEEDSIO.com. So yeah, that is a Mirasol, and it is lovely looking. It is obviously in a small pot, so I'm not going to get a ton of harvests from this, but still I'll get some, and that's enough for me. And over here, this is a capsicum pubescens. So pubescens, you can see that, hopefully this camera can pick it up, but basically there's furry stems, furry leaves. So if you feel that lightly, you'll feel the hair on the leaves, and it's a typical trait of the capsicum pubescens. Another very cool trait is the fact that most of them have these beautiful purple flowers, which looks stunning. And also the seeds are black, so it's quite a unique type of plant, species of plant. This specific one is a new one I'm growing this year, and Just get the name, I can never remember it. Ricotto Arequipa Amarillo. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I haven't got any pods on it yet, and the nice thing about capsicum pubescent, especially if you live in a country like I do, in the UK, and you have early frosts coming through, these can last well into colder temperatures than many other chili plants, so it's really good for colder climates. That's why they do so well in Peru, I guess. Here's another new one I'm growing this year, the Diablo. And look at that, that's a small one actually, over there. Check that thing out. Now I have tried one of these and it tastes amazing. You can see that over there, that's what I picked. But look at the size of that thing. They ripen to this deep dark red. It's a lovely looking plant. So we do actually have some ricottos coming through. This one here I think might be a ricotto marlene. So that's these pods over here. Let's check it. No, ricotto Costa Rica, not a ricotto marlene. It's from Fatali Seeds. Go check him out. He has plenty of awesome varieties. But you can see the pods, fairly unique looking. And spiders walking all over me. This is why Mrs. Chili Chump doesn't come in here too often. But yeah, we've got some beautiful pods coming through, quite a few of them. And again, we've got that lovely purple flower, furry leaves, furry stems. Stunning. Yeah, it's nice to see some fruit coming through quite early, relatively early compared to when it normally would. And here, of course, we have some superhots. You can always tell the superhots by that gnarly looking pod. Oh, that's an even better one over there. Look at that. What plant is this? This is a big black mama. Yeah, these are looking good. It's nice to see some pods coming through. Actually, we have a small ripe one there, another little ripe one back there. And that's a beautiful pod, and that is starting to ripen. So it's lovely to see these superhots actually coming through. And not so much a superhot, but this here, I've been really excited about this plant this year. It just is very, very unique. Do you see this? Just how it's growing, all spindly. Just looks quite different to plenty other chili plants. So if we can take a look at the base, you can kind of see how it's growing. Really enjoying growing it. Let's get the name of it. My memory's failing me, guys. This is why I made seeds here. This is the Mexican Chiltepin. And yeah, it's just lovely. Look at these tiny little pods. Very, very, very tasty pods as well. We are still having some insect problems. I mean, at the moment, those are all spiders, so I'm not too fussed about those. But we have had plenty aphids. You can actually see them over there. But the spiders are kind of taking care of them. And also with the bees, we also have some hoverflies coming through. They look like little wasps. And those things love eating aphids. Not too many ladybugs this year. But again, I think it's down to the weather. But yeah, it's a beautiful plant. It's kind of bittersweet because it is early September, and I would have expected by this point to already have had 2 big harvests from my Peri plants at least. My jalapenos definitely would have had a few harvests from those. The superhots would be going nuts, and yeah, I mean, I'm looking in the large greenhouse at the moment. You can see it behind me. I'm not actually going to go in there. I think this video has gone on long enough. But those lined up against that wall that's closest to me, those are all superhots. And I'll take a quick look, but not a lot going on. You can see not a lot of color. There are some pods coming through, and we will get some harvest from them, but nothing like in previous years. Go have a look, 2022, 2021 harvest season, around August, September, and you'll see a very different story than what I'm seeing at the moment. But what can you do? The weather is the weather, and that's one thing you cannot control, and you've got to take care of the things you can control. And one of those things is next year. So absolutely looking forward to next year. I've already started planning, got some seeds coming through, some unique ones that I've never grown before. Starting to prepare for stocking up my seed store as well for this year, so we do have enough stock for that. The Chili Chump seed kit as well, preparing for that, hopefully in the next month and a half or so. And yeah, I just got to make the most of the bad situation. And believe me, I'm running this as a business. This is a bad situation. I'm probably going to get about a quarter of the harvest than I would normally get at best. It's difficult to say until I've done my final harvest. Maybe we'll get incredibly lucky. Maybe September will be like July and we'll have hot weather. Kind of doubt it. Today I think is a bit of an anomaly. 24 degrees Celsius. I don't think we're going to be getting this too consistently through September. And definitely have been feeling the cold lately. I hope that your season is going at least fairly well and you're getting some harvest. I know some of you in better climates than I am. I've seen some amazing photos up on the Chilli Facebook group. Very jealous, but it looks like you guys are doing really well. But those that are in a similar season to myself, don't get too disheartened. Next year's a new year. The weather is going to be far better. My prediction is you're going to be looking back on 2024 and thinking, wow, 2025 is amazing in comparison. I think we're going to have some incredible harvest next year. At least that's my prediction. We'll see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and until then, stay spicy.